Hello everybody, so here is orchid that I have in my collection that's currently in bloom, and now making a spotlight video for it. So as you could see, it's a dendrobium from this uh, plant. As you could see here, it is a dendrobium type of orchid, and it's currently mounted um, on a piece of wood. You would know this dendrobium um, in a lot of videos as Dendrobium aggregatum, and but officially the name of this one is Dendrobium lindleyi. So it's a synonym, Dendrobium aggregatum and Dendrobium lindleyi. So what can I say about this one? Well, first let's look on the flowers. What I can say is that it has definitely one of those orchids that have very delicate flowers. They don't look really much what do you call that, they don't really have much substance. That's what I could say. They're really almost tissue thin in terms of the thickness of its petals. The lower lip, which is the biggest part of the plant, is actually a little bit more thicker than the petals. The petals here on the top are a lot thinner, and the lip also has a much more vibrant yellow at the middle, especially at the throat. So you could see there, it's really hard to focus because it's almost like blending in really well in terms of the yellow. It's really hard. It's really having a hard time to take in the real yellow color of this flower. But what I can say is that the lip on this one has a fuzzy texture that makes the throat more yellow compared to the rest of the lip. Almost like a custardy color, egg custard. If you would know about that dessert, it's kind of similar to that yellow, and sometimes also it kind of looks like egg yolks, right? It kind of does look like egg yolks. So there you go. A lot of the flowers blasted because this has been in spike for a while, and it was really slowly growing, and now it only opened, and then it actually blasted some of the flowers, but it's fine. I know that the flowers on this one are very short-lived, so it's okay that I was able to take a footage of this one and also a time-lapse video, and I would upload that very soon. All right, so let me talk about how I grow this, how I was able to bloom it. Well, basically, these are one of those dendrobiums. They are known as the Callista type dendrobiums that really need a dry winter rest, meaning it should be dry relatively starting like mid-November until February, that you would almost like make the pseudoballs really almost shriveling dry. So you would water it maybe just once every 2 or 3 weeks. depending on the humidity. But mostly just keep it so dry that just as long it doesn't die or too wrinkly. As you can see here, it's not that plump, I mean the pseudoballs, but yeah, they're wrinkly. The white substance on it are basically just the sheets, which disappear eventually with time. So there you go. And the leaves on this one are quite leathery. They're quite thick. Alright, and they're known to bloom from ones that had leaves and also the leafless canes. Anyway, so basically, yeah, that's it. The trick for this one to bloom is you must give it a dry winter rest, but at the same time, it should be aside from being cold, it would be helpful if you expose this to the highlight at the same time. So exposed to highlight and also cold temperatures, especially during the night, up to 55 and even 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't do this, by the way, you are risking the possibility of not having blooms. And if it's actually too warm, instead of giving spikes, they might eventually give you early keikis, which is actually starting to grow on this one. Actually, you can see there's already a new growth here, and that's why perhaps this spike is already blasting, because I think it's already in growth mode, and it came really late in terms of coming out during the spring. So yeah, perhaps that's what triggering the bud blast. But otherwise, it's still a nice orchid to have, very attractive, very desirable, and yeah, if you just have a patience to do the dry winter rest, yeah, I think you would be able to bloom this one. All right. So far, it doesn't have any fragrance, but yeah, it's fine. So there you go. So that's the Dendrobium aggregatum or Dendrobium lindleyi, and this is naturally found in India, China, up to Cambodia, Vietnam, and those places, which they do have like a cold period, but very dry cold period. So that's why they are used to that kind of climate. And then by the time that it cools out, I mean it warms up, it's already like starting to rain and all that, and then that's when they first they start off like giving spikes, and then after that, new growth. All right, so there you go. So I've heard like a lot of people having trouble growing this one, but mostly because they were not given enough cold winters and also bright winters. It should be like a bright light also. So I exposed this to a bright light area, but also like a cold part of the house, like near the garage. So by putting it there near the garage, but with light, because there's a window there, I was able to bloom this. So make sure you give it light and cold, and then don't water it too much, because it would just give you new growth in spring. All right, so that's it. So thank you for watching this video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you would be updated on future updates. All right. Let me just take a closer look. Yeah, so there's how these are how they look from the top. So they're very pendant. They're all pointing downwards because they're supposed to be pendant to attract the pollinators down the lower part of the tree. All right, there you go. All right, thank you for watching, and happy growing to all my orchid friends, orchid growing friends. All right, bye bye.